As we know, Black history is one of the things that we've longed to celebrate, and we even fight now to have it in our history books. The NAACP since 1909 has fought for equal rights for all people. And today, we celebrate where we have come from to where we go today. Today, I bring to you one of your own, Salim Abdul Leem, to talk to you from your young adult welcome perspective. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Salima Abdul-Alim, and I'm representing the Crispus Attucks Youth Chapter, Crispus Attucks NAACP Youth Chapter, and what we do is we go out into the community and do things, and like we've gone to the conferences to, learn more about what the NAACP has done and what we can do. We've gone, we will possibly be going to Selma about, because one of the big things that the NAACP still does today is still trying to get voter registration, still trying to get people to vote. So in Selma, that was a very big thing, as some of you may know, and so that's what we're now doing. We're trying to encourage people to vote. We're registering people to vote. So last year, you may have seen us in the cafeteria registering people that are 18 and old enough to vote. So that's what we'll do, and we encourage everyone to come out because it's an amazing cause, and yes, and so please sign up. The president is Anissa Abdul-Alim, and you can get the slips to sign up and be a part of the NAACP for next year and this year. So thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Marjorie Duarte Sheffield. I work for the Marion County Public Health Department, and I have the honor to be here today with you, sharing with you some thoughts. As you may know and notice, my first language is Spanish, it's not English. So my English is really harsh, and if you don't understand something that I say, please just raise your hand and I will explain to you what I'm trying to say, even with my hands. I'm going to be short in my speech, but I want to let you know that Crispus Attucks, I don't know if that is the correct pronunciation, and I have some things in common. And I'm going to mention just two. We are children of mixed races, and we love freedom. Thank God for this opportunity to be in this building talking to all of you. You are a very, very distinguished audience for me, and I respect you so much. My father was a white man, and my mother is a Black descendant woman. That makes myself a mixed blood. But I never thought about that until 2000 when I came to the United States, and a very lovely person, very old person, met my mom and told me, I didn't know that your mom is a Black woman. Until that time, I didn't realize what it meant. That doesn't happen in my country. But I'm going to tell you, I don't see color. I see eyes, and I see souls. Color doesn't matter to me. And I will continue living my life that way. What we need to do is dream. What we need to do is achieve. We have dreams, we have goals in life, and we need to accomplish those. And those dreams could come true if we put our mind and souls together to achieve our goals. This is easy to say than do, But yes, it can be done. So let's work on that. Who knows about Malala Yousafzai? Do you know about her? If anybody know about her or doesn't know about her, I'm going to let you know a little bit about her. Malala Yousafzai was born in Pakistan in 1997. As a child, she became an advocate for girls' education, and that resulted in the Taliban issuing a death threat against her. On October 9, 2012, a gunman shot Malala when she was going back home from school. She survived, thank goodness, and has continued to speak on behalf of girls and on education. She was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize in 2013, and in 2014 again was nominated, and she won the Nobel Prize, becoming the youngest person to win this prize. I do not have much time to talk to you, but I want for you to think about yourself, each one of you, as you are Crispus Attucks or Malala Yousafzai, and make your own difference. As Malala says, and she has so many quotes, but I just chose 3 to share with you. Let us remember, one book, one pen, one child, and one teacher can change the world. There are many problems, but I think there is a solution to all these problems. It's just one, and it is education. Let us make our future now, and let us make our dreams tomorrow's reality. Please think about yourself and grab your dreams and make it come true. Thank you.
Hello and welcome. If this was a party or a lock-in or something where all of you all were around your friends and having a good time, the DJ would come up and say, "Everybody make some noise!" You all don't get out to parties very much, do you? Let's try that again. Everybody make some noise! That's what I'm talking about. We're getting there, we're getting there. Hello everybody, my name is Thomas Griffin. I'm here representing you all as your host and MC tonight, but I'm also the president of the Indianapolis chapter of Indiana Black Expo. And everybody knows about Indiana Black Expo. We have 12 chapters throughout the state. Our office just happens to be down at the Julia Carson building, 300 East Fall Creek Parkway. We have events going on all year long. If any young lady in here between the age of 14 and 18 would like to be involved in our pageant, we have a pageant every June in which we give away between $2,000 to $5,000 in scholarships to young ladies. So just put that in the back of your mind, and we're going to proceed with the program. All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to introduce the color guard from Crispus Attucks High School. How's everybody doing today? Now I'm gonna tell you all the truth. When he walked over here and looked at me, I'm like, oh shoot, I'm in trouble now. I said, I didn't know if he was the Army, the Air Force, the Marines, the Navy. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we'd like to introduce individuals that are gonna come out here and speak to you today. First, the first young lady I'd like to introduce and have her sit, you've already heard from. Salima, are you there? Salima Alim, nice round of applause. Next, from the NAACP, he'll be speaking about being a born suspect, Mr. Byron Ratclife, Sr. Oh, man. Y'all didn't tell me this. I'd have saved you for last. Ladies and gentlemen. See, I'm gonna have to put my voice on this next one then. Ladies and gentlemen, from the NAACP, the Educational Committee, talking about Your Life Matters, would you please put your hands together for an Attucks graduate, Miss Carole Craig. I think we were supposed to be having an individual from IPS, but Dr. Farabee, I don't believe is here, so I'll go to our next one. Anybody understand politics? Anybody ever heard of a guy named Barack Obama? Well, guess what? We don't have Barack Obama, but we got the next best thing. I'm about to give him some DJ voice. Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Washington, D.C., to talk about I Am My Brother and Sister's Keeper, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Congressman Andre Carson. All right, are you speakers ready? I don't know if I should let you go first or not, man. They like you too much. What we're going to do is hear words and remarks from Mr. Byron Ratclife, Sr. You know what? I screwed up.
That's okay. I'll stand.
Okay, you step back. You know, when you come in somebody's house, you have to acknowledge that you're in their house. And as I peruse these multiple pieces of paper, I already skipped over somebody. The principal of Crispus Attucks Medical Magnet High School. Ladies and gentlemen, a nice round of applause for Stephanie Nixon. All right. Now we'll move forward. Does anybody want to hear some words of wisdom about being a born suspect from Mr. Byron Ratclife, Sr.? Okay, on the count of three, I need you all to make as much noise as possible. Coming to the stage, Mr. Byron Ratclife, Sr.
Tigers, you're too kind, too kind. I love you and I miss you. Of course, I'll always be there for you. But now we need to talk about some matters of the heart. some things that are relevant for you as you go through life and your journeys. Because it is a fact that each of you are born suspects. Now, what do I mean by that? There's a study, and let's just start talking about people like Trayvon. And we know the situation that happened in Florida. Now, should Trayvon be expired at this time? The answer is no. Did he get justice? The answer to that is no. We want to talk about a lot of things, but one of the things that you have as an advantage here in a lot of places, you have people who care about you, who honestly care and love you. Your administrators, your staff, your teachers, they spend extra time here. They don't have to be on this parking lot after the buses leave. But many times when I was here late, I see them here, and they're here because they're here for you. So let's give you some good information and some wisdom so that we'll go forward, because you are, in fact, not only born suspects, because that says that you may, in fact, be later on a statistic, but what you are, and you know you are, is the future of the United States of America. How many of you know that? We had an opportunity on a few occasions when they were passing a curfew ordinance here in the Indianapolis area. We brought the chief of police in, and Chief Haidt he's a good man. He's an honorable man, and I think that he has been policing his own policing agency, so that a lot of things that happen in other places like Ferguson, we'll talk about later, just don't happen here in Indianapolis because of that kind of dedication. But it's good to know that when they passed that curfew law, our children in conference with him said, well, we really don't have a problem, Chief, with a curfew. However, what are you going to be doing with the people that you capture out there? Because it is a fact that racial profiling keeps you rolling in our neighborhood and not necessarily in Geis, and not necessarily in Meridian Hills, and not necessarily in some of the outward lying areas, as opposed to in 46218, 46208, 226, 236. Y'all hear me? Where we live at. So we asked that question. And he said, well, really, I don't have an answer for that. But I know we have to do something. I'd like to take them home to their parent if their parent is home. Good idea. But what was proposed from the Criminal Justice Center, is Atiola here, David? He's probably at IUPUI. He's another one of our SPAN scholars. I'm very proud of our addicts kids. But what he said was that maybe we should have an A-tension center as opposed to a detention center. On 25th and Keystone, they have a detention center. That's where they hold you, detain you, they process you. Anything found on you could be another charge. An A-tension center is a place just for holding, because curfew is not a criminal charge. It's an ordinance violation. But from that, when they stop you, if anything's found on you, anything found, the fruit of the poisonous tree, is now a criminal charge. And how many of you know, especially my seniors and juniors are out there filling out financial aid forms, that if you get caught with any amount of illegal drugs on you, that you no longer are eligible for any federal monies for your college education? How many of you know that? You need, well, I know all my students are, but you need to be aware of that, because that is very important, extremely important. This is not Colorado, so let's get it straight. You're going to have to do what you need to do here in Indiana. Another thing that I want to talk about is when they have this Justice Center. Our youth, again, sponsored the Ferguson people, who were spokespeople, and they came up here, and they actually did a presentation here, and they went over and did a lie-down at the proposed center for the Justice Center. It was our thinking that that's not really just a Justice Center, because as it's proposed, they have additional holding cells and beds to keep more people in. That's not what we want. It's needed, but that's not what we want. It has a hospital environment or infirmary, and it's got a court system. There are no positions available or offices for probation officers, who usually do the transition part when our returning citizens come back to civilian life. There is nothing there for vocational training or certifications when we have all these empty homes, and we have UAW people who are more than happy to help with electronics, plumbing, those kind of trades, to include working with lumber as carpenters. They're willing to do that for free, but that's not even in the position. So is that really a justice center, or is that a just us center? And that's what you need to look at now. It's your voice that counts when we get to those things. So we're going to talk about what the real story is. We have what is called the 411 on the 50. It is very important that you know your constitutional rights. Now, being a civic certified guy, I understand. You know, everybody says government, that's really not that important. U.S. history, world history, that is the best thing since sliced bread. And you need to pay attention in those classes, because that's where you get your constitutional rights and guarantees. That's where you get what protects you. Here we have the biggest part of that, and I'll just say it because there's only one way to really say it. We need to, and you need to, as a group, go out and tell your peers that you have to identify and give proper recognition and response to legitimate authority. That's just being respectful. Whether it's a school teacher, an administrator, or staff member here, at home, if it's your mother or your father, in the neighborhood, ma'am and sir is how we were raised. There's nothing wrong with doing that. In society, your policing agencies and public safety officials. When you get stopped by our police, and you will because of racial profiling and for other reasons, it'll happen. The wrong thing to say is, man, why you sweating me, pig? That is not the good answer. Excuse me, officer, how can I help you today, sir? Or ma'am. That's a good answer. I need to see your driver's license, or whatever, your identification, which you're supposed to always carry. You have some responsibilities that are in native citizenship, and I want you to hold on to those. In government, you need to have people accountable. You'll be hearing from our great congressman in just a moment. But I'm talking about your local people, your city officials, your city board, your county board, which we don't have any longer because of UNIGOV, but your state officials. Right now they're in session talking about you. For the very first time in the history of Indiana, and Indiana is only one of 20 states that does not have a racial profiling bill, believe that or not. One of only 20 states. We have right now House Bill number 1284 that's been introduced by Cherish Pryor, who's championing that out of the Senate, out of the House, and then Gene Breaux, which has Senate Bill 253 that are on the papers. Now, they've been read, but without your voice, it'll never go forward. And those are things that'll prevent the Fergusons of the world from happening. Nationally, House Bill 2581, which coincides with Senate Bill 1038, ends Racial Profiling Act. A lot of these things are going backwards from where we did come from the Civil Rights Acts and for the Civil Rights activists that came through in the 60s. How many of you have seen the movie Selma yet? Oh, you better pay attention. There was once a great legislator that said, if you are not invited to the table, you're on the menu. So you need to be involved in the process of what's going around you. You need to know your history, because if you don't know where you've come from, you will never get where you're going. You have to know what your history is. The 4th and 14th Amendment of the Constitution, I'm going to read that real quick before I move on and let the next person come out. But what it has is, the 4th Amendment guarantees people protection against unreasonable search and seizure, stating, the right of people to secure their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon reasonable cause. Now that's the Constitution, that's the law. But how many of you have just been walking down the street with your homeboys or your homegirls and got stopped for no apparent reason other than the fact that you were born suspects because of the color of your skin or the area that you live in, or where you were visiting? I want you to take that to mind, and I'm going to leave some information here. And of course, obviously, the 411 on the 50, which gives you your rights. Now, we are blessed. We are truly blessed to have a reasonably responded police department and a good chief and a decent public safety official. But what I want you to know is what your rights are and what your responsibilities, which is more important, are. So we have some of these throughout that we've passed out throughout the school. Our chapter has them here. We'll make sure we get some more. We can't keep enough of them on hand because it is very important, regardless of how much it costs. You are all worth it. We love you. We want to keep you on the ground. Now, I just want to take just a second, a moment of personal privilege to announce something that I owe you because I love you, and I always will. And as long as I have breath, I will fight for you. But I had announced my retirement yesterday. Hold on. Not because I want to, but because I have to. But I will be around. I will be around as an invited volunteer. I work for free. Y'all probably thought I did that in the first place. But I work for free. And this is a very inviting environment. And I will always be around for Crispus Attucks. I love you too, baby. We miss you. We'll be there for you. If there's anything that we can do to help you, let us know. Now I will bring forward my counterpart. I am actually the State Criminal Justice Chair for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Who we have here is from our Greater Indianapolis Branch 3053, and for all practical purposes, the State Education Chair, or at least doing the job. I shouldn't have said that. Ms. Carole Craig.
Thank you so much, Byron, and good morning. It is so wonderful to be here, but I think, Byron, I want to tape their applause for you and use it every time I go anywhere because I could tell how much you love these students and they love you, so it's wonderful. It is my pleasure to be here this morning, also because I am a Crispus Attucks alumni, as was stated, and I just absolutely love every inch of this school, so it's an honor to be here in your school. I know your principal, and I saw the music teacher. I don't know if she's still here, but I know she's been here a long time, and I just love her. Where is she? Yes, I think she's just great. And so, you are absolutely in a historic setting that means so much to you, your families, the community, and this city. So it's an honor to be here. And it's also an honor for me to be on the same podium with Congressman Andre Carson. So I certainly don't take that lightly to be here with him. But as was indicated, I am with the Indianapolis branch of the NAACP. We're called the Greater Indianapolis Branch, Branch 3053, and my position is to work with education. I'm a lifelong educator. Even though I'm retired, I stay involved constantly for education, and I work with the Education Committee. And our job is to constantly be sure that we have the best going on in Indianapolis in terms of educational rights for all of the children in our city, particularly those who have been underserved and those for whom the civil rights leaders fought so vigilantly. So that's why I am here today for this Black History program. One of the things that's been absolutely great in our city that shows how much the city cares and loves you is that in 2014, just last year, in March, the mayor of Indianapolis, Mayor Greg Ballard, formed a task force. And the reason he did that, young people, is because he wanted to see what could we do in our city to curb the violence that was seen and also make it a safer place and a more productive place for each of you and your families. So for that to happen, he had to get the best minds in the city who were very acquainted with the community to come together and start analyzing all the data. You know how in your classes you're taught to analyze the data? And there's a reason for that, because when you put together the data, then you start forming those graphs that you make in class, and you see, oh, I see we have a problem here, because in the graph it peaks up there with high numbers. So from that, we can start making some solutions that will help all of our children, our young adults, and our families. So to head up that organization, they had the president of Black Expo for the state, and her name is Tanya Bell. She's the CEO for Black Expo for Indiana, and also the head of the Indiana Civil Rights Commission, and his name is Jamal Smith. And what they did for the next month and thereafter, they put together a task force. And on that task force, they had key people. Have you heard of the Indianapolis Chamber of Commerce? Well, that's a very important organization representing businesses in our city. So they had the CEO from the Chamber of Commerce. Have you heard of Rafael Sanchez? Well, he's a famous reporter from one of the news stations. So he was a part of that committee. And representatives from other community organizations were there to put together a report. And one of the main persons was a state legislator, Senator Greg Taylor. Senator Taylor was on that task force. And they have put together a very important report that I want you to ask your parents to Google it, and then you can Google it and talk about it and look at it together. And it's called Your Life Matters. I want you to repeat after me, my life matters. My life matters. Let's say it like we believe it. My life matters. Thank you, thank you. That's the name of the report because we truly believe, as was said, we truly believe that your lives matter. We love you and we care about you. And we recognize that the adults in the city need to do more to support you. We have some great things going on. We have great organizations, and a lot of you and your parents are a part of these great organizations. We have a lot of wonderful programs for students. We know we do. But from looking at those graphs and those numbers, we found gaps. So we see that we need to do more. We need to keep more students in school. We need to have higher graduation rates. We need to definitely not fill one more prison. We do not need our talented, our beautiful young people not fulfilling their dreams, not being career ready, and not seeing all the potential they have to be great citizens, to be the President of the United States, to be engineers, attorneys, to do everything they possibly can. So with this report, knowing that we want the best from all of our young people, we as adults are saying we take responsibility and we will see what needs to be done. So if you recall, when you take your social studies classes and your government classes, in fact, remember when you were little and you had the little rhyme about how a bill becomes a law? And so what we have done, what the adults have done under the leadership of the ones who organized this report, along with Senator Greg Taylor, they have initiated some bills. And those bills are now passing through the General Assembly. Now, as a part of the process, some of the bills will not make it. That's just the way it goes. So that's why there are more bills than could possibly be enacted. But some of them will. And I want to tell you about one of the bills, and I want you to remember the number because I want you to go home and the people that vote in your household and that vote in your neighborhood and your aunties and all, I want you to tell them to contact their congressman because this bill supports Your Life Matters. One of the numbers for the bill is 443, and it's a Senate bill. So it's called Senate Bill 443. What's the number of the Senate bill? 443. Okay, what's the number of the Senate bill? 443. Right, thank you, 443. There's some others, but this bill is so important because this bill has to do with training the adults and the students and the community and the parents in procedures that will help kids be more successful with how they respond and react in school. Just like Byron Ratclife shared how to react to police, it's very important to know how to react to all adults, including those in school, so that you are more successful and you don't have to worry about a referral from a teacher, you don't have to worry about getting put out of school, but you will be more successful. So this Senate Bill 443 puts training with grant funding to help teachers be trained, parents be trained, and community be trained. I'm going to highlight just a couple of others, and that will be the conclusion of my presentation, because I want you to remember Senate Bill 443. But there's some other bills that have to do when children are in alternative schools, that they have the best education, and that even when you have a student who, for some reason, lost their way, and many lose their way and get expelled, that they're able to go to an alternative school where there are proper resources. So that bill is Senate Bill 310. What's the number for that bill? 310. Okay, so in this Your Life Matters report, there are numerous bills that have been put together by the very persons that care and love this community. And we, the NAACP, have been working closely with them and supporting the ones who have put together these bills. And they all come from recommendations from all that data and from what all of the community found in terms of loving you more, caring about you more, seeing that you graduate and use all of your brilliance and your talents to fulfill your dream. And the name of that report is Your Life Matters. So let's all say together, My Life Matters. One more time, My Life Matters. All right, thank you so much, and continue to do your great work. Thank you.
You know, when I look around and look out in the audience, and I remember back when I went to Shortridge High School, and they would make us.
One fan. One fan.
That's okay, though. That's okay. Shortridge and Attucks, we used to battle. That's okay. That was 150,000 years ago. Still battling? So who wins? I can't hear you. Who wins? Okay, well then I'll shut up then. You know, when you think about government, and all of us have been there where you go to economics class and government class and social studies, and it's like, you know what, I really don't want to be here. I don't want to hear about this stuff. I'm waiting to go to gym. I'm trying to get to the cafeteria. But as you all matriculate down the path of excellence, as you grow older, and one day you're going to go from a Shortridge High School graduate to looking like this, it's going to happen. It's going to happen to everybody. All of us in here are going to get older. We can't stop it. And so now's the time for you to have an opportunity to think about just the small things. Nobody in here is going to completely change your mind or change what you're doing or change how you think. But what we are going to do is give you information to hopefully make you a better person in the future. So, with that having been said, think about this. We have government. We have mayors and congressmen and senators and presidents, people that work every day for you. That's your government working for you. And if you'd like to take this time to think about it, we can let you see your government working for you right here, right now, today. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd be kind enough to make as much noise as possible for our government working for us, the hardest working man in government. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the podium, all the way from Washington, D.C., put your hands together for Mr. Andre Carson!
Thank you. How's everybody doing? Gotta thank MC Thomas Griffin, who, for those of you who are interested in radio and television or being a broadcaster or announcer, you should certainly talk to him because he's a renowned coach who has coached some of your favorite DJs and you just don't know it. So, also want to acknowledge Anissa Abdul Salim and Salima Alim. Their dad is here, Ishmael. Margie Sheffield, who does a terrific job. Carole Craig, who's clearly an educator and great at giving presentations. We certainly want to thank Principal Stephanie Nixon for all of her hard work. Absolutely. We have to thank Crystal Ratclife, who's a very dear friend, and she's such a great leader in our community, and her husband, Byron Ratclife, who, even though he's retiring, it's clear that he clearly loves you and he believes in investing in the next generation. I heard somebody say, "I love you." Hold it down. You know, this month, do you all Vine here at Crispus Attucks? Who has a Vine account? All right, is that right? You have a Vine account? You do your own Vines? Are you like King Bach and all those guys? Who's your favorite Viner? Who? All right. Well, how many of you all have thought about doing a Vine for Black History Month? How many of you all, what's your name? Stand up. What's your name? How many of you all know Taylor? How many of you all follow Taylor on Vine? How many of you all after this will start following Taylor on Vine? What is your handle, Taylor? What is your Vine account? No. All right, we'll talk. We'll talk later. We'll get to you in the Q&A. Okay. Well, how many of you all are excited about Black History Month? Well, you know, this month there's been a lot of discussion about the contributions that African Americans have made and continue to make to our great country. Now, let me share a few statistics with you. Despite the advances in the United States of America, boys and young men of color and young girls continue to face persistent challenges. Check out these stats. 23% of Hispanics, 25% of blacks, 27% of Native Americans all live in poverty, compared to 11% of white brothers and sisters. Now, roughly 2/3 of blacks and 1/3 of Hispanic children live with only one parent. How many of you all know that more and more of children your age are graduating high school without hope for the future? How many of you all know that? Now, how many of you all know that President Obama, Madam Craig touched on this, started an initiative in 2014 named My Brother's Keeper? How many of you all have heard of that? How many of you all know what My Brother's Keeper is? All right. So, what My Brother's Keeper attempts to do is to bring nonprofit organizations together, philanthropies, businesses, governors, mayors, members of Congress, pastors, rabbis, imams, to create a system where, one, kids are entering school ready to learn, they're reading at grade level by the 3rd grade, they're graduating high school ready for a career, especially college, they're completing their post-secondary training, they're successfully entering the workforce, and lastly, they're reducing violence in our communities because they're given a second chance. Now, My Brother's Keeper is not some big government program, but we all know that children of color, particularly young boys, have faced deep levels of segregation, police brutality, and criminalization that has been embedded in our culture since the inception of our country, but it also contributes to more and more young folks being in foster care, juvenile facility, and our different healthcare systems. But when I hear Madam Craig and Mr. Ratclife and so many of our leaders, Marjorie, I know that as I look out into the room, I see the next member of Congress, I see the next governors, I see the next senators, mayors, I see the next businessmen and women. I just saw where they're looking at the finalists for the few people who will be the first to inhabit Mars. Would you all go to Mars? How many of you all are interested in becoming an astronaut? Raise your hand. Engineers. What about a physician or a doctor? Medical magnet. How many lawyers do we have? How many mayors do we have in the audience? What will it take to reach your goal? Hard work. Who said persistence? What else will it take? Stand up, sir. You. No, you, yes. What'd you say? Courage. What else will it take, sir? Determination. So, all right, settle down. How many of you all are interested in going to college after you leave this great institution? Give yourselves a round of applause. How many of you all are interested in going to a vocational school when you leave here? How many of you all are just ready to work when you leave high school? How important is it for you to listen to your teachers who work so hard for you each and every day? How many of you all think it's unnecessary to listen to your teachers each and every day? How many of you all think it's important to listen to your parents and grandparents? Now, did you know that not only by listening to your parents and grandparents, but by listening to your parents, grandparents, community leaders, and even teachers, that creates a holistic and better experience for your future? How many of you all believe that? I want you to know that My Brother's Keeper is just the beginning of initiatives that will be launched not only by the White House, but by members in Congress and elected officials on the ground to partner up with churches, schools, synagogues, mosques, and businesses to help make the lives of our young people that much better. So I'm here to say, for those of you who are interested in an internship with a congressional office, I want to make my office available for that internship. 283, thank you, 283-6516, 283-6516. Now, let's open it up for some questions. Somebody had a question, young man had a question.
My name is Nikki J.
Say that again.
Nikki J.
Sneaky J.
Nikki J.
What's his name? Nikki J.
All right. I had no question.
Yes, sir.
I didn't have a question.
So you grabbed the microphone.
I was telling people to follow me on Vine and Nikki J.
That's your Vine handle?
Yes, sir.
Have you all seen his Vine?
Follow me and Nikki J.
I want you to Vine something before I leave, okay? Do you have a mobile device on you?
Not right now.
So you that's right. So you're not ready. Who has another question? Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, thank you.
What will your internships consist of?
State your name.
Leah.
Weah.
Corbin.
All right. Megan, could you explain to her what the internships consist of?
Internships can be in the summer, so you can come in and you can get experience in the office. Our DC office handles policy, so the laws that the congressman and others have spoken of today, you can help with that, as well as helping people that reside in Indianapolis with issues they may be having with Social Security or immigration and a variety of topics.
Next question.
My name is Kamanse.
Okay. Wait, say that again?
Kamanse.
Okay.
And, hey girl. What was the number again?
283-6516. 283-6516. 283-6516. 283-6516. 283. There you go. All right. Yes, ma'am, in the yellow sweater.
I'm Taylor. What did you want to be when you were in high school?
I was rapping at the time.
Can you rap for me?
These young boys would eat me up. I need about 3 months before I get back in the cypher. No. Who's the rapper here? Who's the rapper here? Come here. Come on up. Come on up. Come on. So before I finish, come on up. I wanted to be a businessman, and all right, settle down. I wanted to be a businessman, but I was also. These are some good shots, Megan and Kathy. I also was an activist at the time. So how many of you all know Dr. Pat Payne? In 1984, I was with my grandmother, Julia Carson. I traveled to San Francisco with Pat Payne to the Democratic National Convention. And how many of you all have heard of Jesse Jackson? Well, before Barack Obama, Jesse Jackson ran for president in 1984. So we went to San Francisco to support Jesse Jackson, and I was 9 at the time, and even though he did not win, I came back to Indianapolis helping the registered voters, even though I wasn't old enough to vote myself. Started making calls. And so when I was in high school, I was at Manual at the time, and we wanted a Black History class. So I remember Pat Payne from IPS, so I called her and said, hey, we want a Black History class taught at Manual. She said, if you get 1,000 signatures, that is our requirement, we can possibly look into it. So we got all the Black kids, all the white kids, and the Latino kids together, and we got 1,000 signatures, and we had the first Black History class at Manual High School. So it was through that activism that we got things done. What is your name, sir? What's your name? We just getting started, don't panic.
Malcolm.
Malcolm, all right. I want you all to give Malcolm a beat, and I want you to say something quick and clean. Let's go. Bars. Quick and clean. Let's do it, man. This is your break.
Bald like James Harden, chillin' with Andre Carson. Matter of fact, you players was buffing, y'all need a cars in. Matter of fact, who you calling? Yeah, I keep ballin'. Coming off to the top, boxing, and I be sparring. He said he wanted quick and clean, I'ma spit it mean. And you won't ever catch me in no dang skinny jeans.
Ooh. All right, all right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Is he ready? Is he ready for Young Money or Taylor game? Is he ready? No? All right. All right. All right. Good job. Next question. Who has the next? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
My question is, after, if possible, to participate in this internship, what is available after that? What possibilities are there after participating in the internship?
Well, that's a great question. A congressional internship is, in our minds, unlike any other internship. So you will be able to assist the caseworkers, me, the district director, and other people in terms of helping constituents who are having issues with their Social Security, helping constituents oftentimes get back into the country, so we do a lot of work with the State Department. And a lot of it has to do with, so we get a lot of calls about potholes, and those are calls to the mayor's office and city council. But we get a lot of those calls and we direct them, but it gives you an opportunity to learn more about how government works, how bills are made. So a lot of the legislation that we do in policy work happens in DC, but we work a lot with the local office because we're constantly hearing constituent complaints and what people want. So I think it's great for your resume and it's great for your work experience, but it also can provide a different pathway in terms of other internship opportunities, be they through the State Department, AmeriCorps, or some of our other not-for-profits. So the list is endless, and we do a lot of help with, we get a lot of folks in some of our military academies, so West Point, the Naval Academy, the Merchant Marines, and other groups. So the sky's the limit. But you have to be a hard worker. All right? Thank you. Great question. Yes, yes, sir. State your name and your question.
Hello, my name is David Castaneda. Just want to say it's an honor to be here.
All right, all right, all right.
It's an honor to have you here. Thank you for coming, especially you all.
Thank you.
My question is, when running for office, how did you overcome those racism obstacles?
That's a great question. Well, you know, I watched my grandmother, great question. I watched my grandmother throughout the years deal with similar issues. And I think for me it was different because she was older and I think because I had a different dynamic coming in with not just the racial piece, but a religious piece, an age piece, folks wondering if I would be like my grandmother who raised me. She raised me to not be her. But I think that there were numerous challenges. And the thing about politics, I encourage people to get involved in politics. And even though there's a great deal of cynicism attached to what politicians do, most politicians are well-intentioned. Just like you have a few bad teachers, but 99.9% of teachers are good teachers and they're there for the right reasons. And the same with police officers. I mean, right now there are a lot of issues of police misconduct, but most police officers are good people. So to your point, I think that, you know, discrimination is a part of life, and these are obstacles and challenges that you'll probably be facing throughout your professional career. But I think if you have a strong support system and a strong sense of self, it won't matter how other people see you, it's how you think of you that matters in the end. Your life matters, yeah.
Hello, my name is Paris Daniels.
Hello.
My question was about schools denying children.
Say that again. That sounds like a great question. I can't hear you.
Schools denying children to come because my sister, she's in 8th grade, and she had messed up and got expelled from Arlington last year to where my aunt called.
Speak up louder. You speak well. I just can't hear you.
My aunt called every school in Indianapolis, and no one would accept her. So it's like she couldn't take I-STEP. She couldn't do anything that a normal 8th grader would do. So she had to retake the whole 8th grade, and I didn't know it was even legal to deny anyone.
Kathy, could you get her information so we can investigate this matter? Thank you for being an advocate for your sister. That's good. She's speaking up for her sister. How many of you all? I was just at Ben Davis the other day. Thank you, Madam Ratclife. I was just at Ben Davis High School the other day, and I asked them. I said, "How many of you all?" Because there's this huge conversation, Dr. Ratclife, about cutting I-STEP down. How many of you all like I-STEP? I didn't like it either, by the way, but it's necessary. How many of you all think that testing is necessary to some degree, but I-STEP takes it too far? So do you all believe that we should have some form of testing to see how well you've done and how much you've learned? So where does I-STEP get it wrong? Speak up. The length. It should be short. They're going to cut it down to 3 hours. So what do you all believe that some of these tests are culturally biased? Do you all, I remember when I was young, and by the way, we're not talking about addicts because these teachers are the best, some of the best in the country. We're not talking about IPS teachers. But I raise this point because there's a growing discussion nationwide about standardized testing and the importance, and these folks are educators. They can talk more extensively than I can. But my wife is a school principal. But I'm curious to know, what is it that schools and politicians may be missing when it comes to testing kids? Because I remember being in school taking I-STEP, and I felt like I don't even remember covering this. How many of you all feel that way? That's not the fault of your teachers. They're all brilliant. We love them. It's just what's on the test. All right. Next question.
I have a question.
Yes, sir. State your name, answer.
Let's do it. Come on, let's do it, man.
My name is Antonio Tolliver, and I was wondering if a group of students get suspended for 5 days at first, and they have to go to court, but at their court date, they was allowed to come back to school, but they still not here yet. So, like, what would you do about that?
That sounds like a parental issue.
No, it's the school.
So the school's not allowing the students to come back?
Yeah, they've been suspended for like over 14 days.
I don't know. I'd have to talk to our esteemed principal. It sounds like expulsion, yeah. You may not. I'll have to talk to our esteemed principal to get more info. But to your point, I'm actually happy as a young man that you've raised the question, because it shows that you care, it shows that you're concerned, and you're an advocate for your friends. So that's right, give him a round of applause. Give him a round of applause. So we'll talk to Madam Nixon and find out, but I'm sure there's a reason. Yes, sir.
My name is Craig Johnson. I go to Crispus Attucks. I want to know, is Area 51 and aliens real?
That's a good question. That's a good question. How many of y'all are curious about aliens? That's right. Me too. How many of you all believe that there's life on other planets? How many of you all believe that there's life on other planets within our solar system? How many of you all believe that life doesn't exist in our solar system, but it exists outside of our solar system? All right. So, as it stands, and I'm not a scientist, but scientists have a theory called the Goldilocks theory. And that is that you have to effectively have a planet within the Goldilocks zone, and we're in that Goldilocks zone, where it's far enough away from its star or sun, not too far where it's so cold where life cannot thrive, and not too close where life cannot thrive because it would melt. And so scientists recently have discovered several Earth-like planets that are within their star's Goldilocks zone. And so hopefully in the next few years, additional discoveries will be made that could maybe validate our search for life on other planets. A lot of times people have UFO sightings, and scientists say that about 95% of those sightings can be explained, either through natural phenomena or through aircraft or even birds. But there's 5% of those sightings that cannot be explained. And now folks are discovering that what they thought were UFOs were actually drones. So who knows, but that's a great question. Now, Area 51 does exist, but it's been proven to be a site where the U.S. has tested these strange-looking aircraft. That's all I'll say. Next question. I have 9 minutes left. State your name, sir, and your question.
Hi, my name is Amari Robinson.
I can't, speak up, beloved, I can't hear you.
Hello, my name is Amari Robinson. And my question is, what advice would you give somebody interested in entering the politician field?
Yeah, that's a great question. Give him a round of applause. That's a good question. So what I tell people is you should do an internship. 283-6516, 283. Well, you all are smart over here. So identify a campaign that shares your values, and you may not have constructed your value system yet, but that's helping out with a congressional office or even a congressional race, helping out with a city council race or a mayoral race, and go door to door, asking people to support a particular candidate, and you'll hear positive reactions and negative reactions. Phone bank, get on the phone and call constituents about this particular candidate. And also, some people are good writers. You know, help write policy points for a politician. Some people don't like writing, they like talking. Phone bank, go out and help pass out literature. I mean, that's a start. But I think when you join a campaign or help out with any elected official's effort, regardless of party, it kind of hones your own sense of what you believe, and it may expand on what you believe. And sometimes it's good to help out with the candidate, even if you don't share all of their beliefs, it's good to help out because it gives you a greater sense of what you ultimately may want to do. So 283-6516, don't remember that. Let's do a couple more questions. Yes, sir.
All right, I got a question.
All right, speak up, speak up.
Hassan?
State your name, sir.
Hassan Parker.
Okay.
All right, well, like, I know in college you get to choose what type of, like, major you want to, like, do, and they give you a certain classes, but, like, when, like in high school, shouldn't you be able to do the same? Because, I mean, I don't know, I may be wrong, but I think some classes are unnecessary for certain things you want to be.
Well, that's true. I'll let the educators. All right, I'm gonna go back. Well, that's true for college too, but sometimes it's good to take a class that you may deem unnecessary because it could present a different opportunity to expand your knowledge base. And what you may think may be a futile practice in a particular mathematical field of study, it could sharpen you mentally to make you become a better critical thinker. So, but man, you got to pay your dues right now because you're on your way to college, right? He's not. He's got 3 years. Okay, he'll solve his own question. Yes, ma'am.
Why do we have to take ECA and ISTEP if we take tests and finals throughout the school year?
Oh. You know, that's a big debate right now within the educational community. And it's a big debate amongst politicians, which is why I posed that question about this notion of over-testing. So teachers are being judged on how well their students perform. And there are people who assert that teachers, myself included, teachers are stretched too thinly because of testing requirements. Most of us are visual learners. We learn by seeing. Some of us are auditory learners. We learn by hearing, or a combination of both. And then there are some people who learn best by building, touching, and feeling things. The question becomes, how can we get away from such rigid testing requirements to allow those of us who learn differently, who process information differently, how can those teachers who are brilliant speak to our different learning styles without having the burden of testing, interrupt their pedagogy or their brilliance? You know, we need more folks like the ones on the stage here, but we also need to really look more deeply, to your point, at removing testing. Now, let me ask this. Should teachers have to be tested regularly? No, wait a minute. Not the ones at Attucks, we love them. We're talking about the ones outside of, because they're good teachers in here. Matter of fact, give the teachers a round of applause because we love them for what they do. Because listen, I applaud any teacher that wants to come to a school like Attucks. It's a great school, to sacrifice their time, to do lesson plans, to stay up at night grading papers, to invest in your future. So let's cut them some slack. Now, some people say that more teachers should be tested to see that which ones should remain teachers, and others who were probably born to be engineers or artists, maybe they're in the wrong profession. Next question. The last one. All right, this young lady has one last question. We started with her, we're gonna wrap up with her.
Thank you. My question is something that's...
We gotta get her info, Mona.
Thank you. My question is asking, how would students that fall under the DACA be able to participate in things like politics?
Well, I think I just had this conversation at, was it 89.1? Espescado, 107.1. You know, the president's executive action was a start in the right direction, encouraging people to come out of the shadows, and because the reality is that it is impossible to move 11 million people out of the country. We know that. What states like Ohio have done, which I think is a step in the right direction, is that Ohio is providing driver's licenses for dreamers. And Indiana's far behind, but I think what that does is that we know folks are working, they need transportation. If you don't have that kind of apparatus in place, then there's going to be anxiety. I had a young lady tell me she lives in anxiety every day because her father, who's the primary caregiver and caretaker and provider for the home, she's worried that he's going to get pulled over, and if he gets pulled over, he's going to get deported. So we'll see the family dismantled as a result. Congress has to act. The president's executive order is temporary. So when we get a new president, that person may have a different view of what immigration reform looks like. I support the Senate's initial proposal, and my hope is that for next election, congressional election, that we will have people paying attention and urging their members of Congress to pass the Senate versions of immigration reform. That's a step in the right direction. But you know, I think that the president should be applauded for what he did. Yeah, he should be applauded. But it won't be concretized, or it won't be cemented until Congress acts. So that's a great question. But I think a comprehensive pathway to citizenship does give those DACA folks a chance to participate in electoral politics and become elected officials. So there you go, future Congresswoman. All right, I love IPS. I'm one of your biggest proponents. I'm a product of IPS. You always have a friend in me. I love Crispus Attucks. My grandmother's a product of Crispus Attucks. And I want you to know that whatever you put your mind to, regardless of your race, religion, background, you can accomplish it. Take advantage of those teachers and those educators who are investing in you each and every day. Take advantage of it. Ask them questions. Don't be afraid to ask a question. If you're afraid because people are around, wait until the day is over with and ask that teacher a question. And stay involved. And don't let any naysayer defer you from your dream. If you want to be an engineer and folks are telling you you should be something else, you stay on that path. If you want to be a physician or a doctor, don't let anyone tell you you're not smart enough. Stay on that path. And if you want to be an elected official, you call 283. Thank you, everybody. God bless you.
You all can do better than that. Make some noise, Mr. Andre Carson, Congressman Andre Carson. Crystal, you have the microphone, and I know you're going to do a presentation. We have one last thing to do, and again, we want to thank everybody for coming out, but I now want to turn the podium over to the president of the NAACP Indianapolis chapter, Ms. Carole Ratclife.
We want to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to be here, but if I could just have your attention for a moment. You notice as I kept asking you to be quiet. Let me tell you why. Our congressman works with the President of the United States every day. He takes time out of his busy schedule to be here. And when we have somebody that come to honor us in our house, to educate us, we need to show them that we are listening so that we can get the right direction for somebody who can help our youth. There are youth who have asked to vote at 16 years old. Do you know how you get that done? This man right up here. And all of you here have the opportunity to make things like that happen. If you talk about your life matters, yes, your life does matter, but you do have to take it into your own hands. How many of you are registered to vote? How many of you are old enough to be registered to vote? So we need to get you registered to vote. How many of you are 16 and like to be carrying that mantle and can't register to vote? So see, when you start talking about things you can and can't do, and he's talking about bringing you down to the State House to be pages, that's the house of the people. When we talk about bills and things like that, it's your future. And if you don't take it into your own hands by talking to your friends and not listening to the question at hand, when you only have 2 hours, time you can never recapture. That's one thing as a medical magnate you should know, that you can never recapture your health. And time is something else that once it's get away, it's gone. So could you please give our presenters another round of applause? You do have a youth chapter here. What I say with that youth chapter, Ferguson, they hosted the Ferguson organizers here. Now, if you want to hear about that, you have to be able to listen so that you can what? Organize. And let people see that the youth are here and they're making strides in what they do. It is important. It is your time. That's why we're here today. That's why we're talking about racial profiling, to make sure you're not the next child that gets beat or murdered in our streets. So there's a little thing we say in the NAACP, and I just want to know really where your heads are at. And when I say fired up, you're supposed to say fired up. And when I say ready to go, you say ready to go. So are you fired up? Fired up? Fired up? Ready to go. That's our next generation that's talking out there. We thank you again for hosting this event.
All of the bills and information and numbers, we'll make sure that we get that information to your principal so that it'll get to the appropriate place so you have that to access yourselves so that you can go out and do great things. We love you. Bye.